And underway, men's D race. Athletes are as follows: Max Taylor and Essendon, Long Nguyen, Glenn Huntley, Javier Tabit, Coburg, Paul Pretence, Box Hill, Adam Hanna, Melbourne Uni, Christian Wheats, Western Athletics, Stephen Simmons, Collingwood, Ashton McDonald, Knox, Alistair McDonald, Western Athletics, Chris Winter, Glenn Huntley, Ross Thomas, Box Hill, Andy Fuller, Richmond, Eric Pritchard, Coburg, Andrew Carey of Williamstown, Jonathan Brown of Essendon, Michael Holst of Waverley, Matthew Lynch of St Kevin's, Archie Hewitt of Mornington, Elias Stott of Geelong Guild, Tom Werner of Richmond, Alistair O'Brien of Knox, Lachlan Welch of Williamstown, Tom Jansen of Frankston, and Michael Oakey of Collingwood. To round out the field of 24 in our men's D race here at Box Hill, as the track does start to darken over in the back straight. But we'll do our best to call the action here trackside.
Top seed here, Michael, appears to be Thomas Ross of Box Hill Athletics Club. Closely followed by Chris Winter of Glen Huntley, and then a real sway, the gents like Max Taylor, Long Nguyen, a couple of guys around that 16:30, 16:40 mark. As a former classmate, I'd have to back in Long Nguyen. He's been making progress lately. Come on, Long. Get up for me. You can do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ross Thomas, though, highest seed, and he's on the home track. Is that a home ground advantage that he has?
You got there eventually, Michael, and with the lights coming back on here, we will return to premium racing.
Everything always feels so much quicker under lights. Light winds, pretty good conditions to run PBs here, as we've seen so many athletes do tonight at the Vic 5K Championships whip.
Fun fact, Messini, you feel like you're going faster because your depth perception is worse in low light.
That is fun. I never considered that before.
Yeah, so you think you're going quicker. Good illusion for those men taking part in tonight's 5,000 metre D race.
Javier Tabit of Coburg and Chris Winter of Glen Huntley lead the way through that first kilometre in about 3:17.
So we'd be just under 16:40 pace. I would encourage everyone in the race. We do have timers on this race. You don't need to stop your watch. So we return to the racing at the front. Unchanged lead. Javier Tabit keeps things rolling along with a bit of a Glen Huntley and Frankston partnership on the back straight there.
The athlete from Frankston in Tom Jansen moves his way into third position there.
We've already got a little bit of splintering here as we pass through our first few laps. We've got a couple off the back who'll probably start to work together, and a big pack rolling through here at the front. A reminder to Zach Patterson, I did see you floating around doing your warm down. Please don't go too far and come and collect your medal.
Long Nguyen has moved his way up on the shoulder of Javier Tabit as well, past his Glen Huntley teammate.
Representing Glen Huntley these days, Long, bit of a late comer to the sport. Has recently embraced wearing shoes whilst racing, a Melbourne High old boy. Good to see him out there fully shod.
And the front few athletes in this train, first 5 or 6, just start to form their own pack as we have another race within a race, Sean. That's what we have been seeing all night, a race within a race.
Theme throughout the night, one for the punters here. We'll see how we're going at 2 kilometres and try and give you a pace schedule update. Tabit from Coburg has kept the pace honest here. As Chris Winter rolls round to the shoulder there, looks like it'll be Tabit and Winter just towing things along.
Christian Wheats just on the back of that front pack, which is starting to split now. The athlete from Western Afs, Alistair McDonald, the 40-plus athlete, also from Western Afs. I believe he collected a club record the other night for the 40-plus category in the 3K. Will he do the same tonight in the 5K in his first season as a Masters athlete? Did cruise through that first 2K at around that 16:40 5K pace. Tabit, Long and Jansen, still your top 3. I believe Elias Scott of Geelong Guild is also in the mix in the top few of this men's D race.
Once again, if I could get James Hansen and Zach Patterson to come over to the start line. I think Julian Oakley really wants to go home. So come on, fellas.
We know you've got lots of medals. We want to give you one more.
Yeah, you can warm down for as long as you like after. We've got lights and everything. Plenty of heats to go.
Max Taylor of Athletics, Essendon. I hesitate because that could have also been Jonathan Brown. We'll see as they round the bend. We'll look at the hip number and we'll confirm that. But we believe Max Taylor of Athletics Essendon is in that top few in this race as well. As those 2 packs do start to spread pretty wide now across the track. And yes, Max Taylor moves his way into 3rd position of Geelong Guild. Elias Scott. Matthew Lynch of St Kevin's is right there as well. Christian Wheats and Ashton McDonald of Knox are all in that front pack. Alistair McDonald is a bookend of the front of 10 odd athletes there.
Real last call saloon here for Zach Patterson and James Hansen. If you're still at the track, please make yourself known, or I think Mr. Oakley is off for dumplings.
As the boys approach the 3 kilometre mark, 5 laps to go in 9 minutes and 50 seconds. We have Long, Jansen, Taylor and Stott all in that top 4. He's also joined by Ashton McDonald of Knox. Pace for around a 16:30 at this point. which would be a great run for many of these athletes who are seated above that time. Four laps to go for the boys coming into the front straight now. Long has led for a big chunk of this race. As we see Tom Jansen move his way into the lead, Max Taylor does follow him eagerly. Ashton McDonald sliding his way into fourth position. And Alistair McDonald moving his way to the front of this race in fifth, the 40-plus athlete looking to collect another club record. And now we're seeing them really start to spread across this back straight. They're all within 50 metres. Not long ago now, they're spread over 100.
We'll break for a brief intermission here, folks, with the presentation of the Victorian 5,000 metre men's championship. Michael Massini will keep you updated on the race in progress.
So Jansen with 3 laps to go, closely followed by Max Taylor of Essendon, Ashton McDonald of Knox, Long Nguyen, Glenn Hunley and Alistair McDonald. Chris Winter and Ross Thompson also in the mix there. Elias Stott of Geelong Guild close behind as we see the flood of athletes coming in with 3 laps to go in this men's D race. Over to you, Sean Whip.
We break briefly from our men's race for the presentation of the Victorian Championship. In third place from Knox Athletics Club in 14 minutes and 4.81 seconds, Zach Patterson. Come on, let's get behind him, folks. You can do it. In second place, a debut run for St Kevin's Athletics Club, 14:00.91, Julian Oakley. And your Victorian champion for 2019 in a time of 13:58.85 from Knox Athletics Club. Put your hands together for James Hansen. Michael, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Whip. And with 2 laps to go in this men's D race, we still see Tom Jansen leading, but Max Taylor is eagerly on his heels. A bunch of athletes with 2 laps to go coming through now and will be looking good to break 16:40 to 16:30 for this 5K journey, depending on the last 2 laps. As we look to the 200 metre mark around the discus cage on the back straight, Max Taylor does surge ahead of Tom Jansen of Frankston. And I believe that is Ashton McDonald of Knox trying to bridge that gap and creep his way up to Jansen of Frankston as well. So 1, 2, 3 is pretty much sorted as we come into 1 lap to go for these boys in the men's D race. And with 1 lap to go, we will be looking at a time of around the 16:20 mark, 16:15 even, given how quick this last lap may be. Ashton McDonald surges his way into second position. Will he take the gold medal in this D race off Max Taylor of Essendon? 300 metres to go. Tom Jansen hanging on for a strong finish there and probably still a pretty good time. Coming through with 1 lap to go now, Chris Winter of Glenn Huntley, Ross Thomas, Adam Hanna of Melbourne University. Haven't mentioned him much in this race so far, but he is sitting in 6th position right now. 300 metres to go. Looking back to the front of the field, they are rounding the bend in the final front, and it is Ashton McDonald. He's sat back for most of the race, and he is entering the front straight now.
Call it home for us, Michael. Here we go. 100 metres to go, folks.
Max Taylor is also there with a bit of a gap behind, and Tom Jansen hopefully holding on for a good time, but it's Ashton McDonald of Knox Athletics just dodging the cones there. 20 metres to go, and he's very strong time, 16:07-ish.
About 40 seconds under his personal best there.
Max Taylor coming in around the 16:14 mark, also 15 seconds clear of his PB. And Tom Jansen for around a 16:24 unofficial, beating his time by about 16 seconds. Ross Thomas, the hometown hero of Box Hill. Matthew Lynch of St Kevin's. Chris Winter of Glen Huntly. Long Nguyen of Glen Huntly also, and Adam Hanna of Melbourne University. And now there's too many to keep track of as they flood in.
I've just been engulfed.
Great runs from
Look at
all.
this. All over the shop here, folks.